So while I have made videos talking about all three of the Light Triad, a question kind of popped into my mind while I was working on them, and that was, who's the actual strongest out of the Triad? Now, while we already know the answer to this now, it brought up a different question to my mind while talking about the remaining members. And while it is debatable as to who is the strongest between the two by the end of the arc, as each of them have their own different feats and scaling that could put them over each other in different ways, I do want to go over those two characters just to see who would actually win in a fight, with those two being Yuno and Noelle. I think a versus battle between these two would be interesting not because of just their abilities, but also due to how similar the two are despite them being completely different. That being said, spoilers up to chapter 331, and I hope you all enjoy. Now, a lot of people usually see this as a one-sided stomp based on the end of the arc, as the feats with fights between the two, while seeming similar, do have varying levels of importance. However, this isn't actually as cut and dry as one would initially expect. As we already know, 100% Triad members are around the same tier of power that Supreme Devils are, with our baselines of Supreme Devils being around the levels of Lilith and Nama, two Supreme Devils from the first gate that were easily able to create a spell that threatened to destroy the entire Spade Castle and everyone in it, as well as Magicula using Exploding Life, a spell we used previously in the battle against Noelle, while Vonica was at 70% to attempt to kill everyone at the Spade Castle as well, while the Exploding Life spell at 70% was able to destroy multiple different parts of the Heart Kingdom. This includes all the Triad members, Noelle, who she saw previously tank it while fatigued, and Lord Pachika, someone who had just gotten a Devil Lamp to the power of a Supreme Devil, and that's just for Magicula. Throughout this arc, both Yuno and Noelle both battle 100% Triad members as well as Supreme Devil level threats. Starting with Yuno, speaking of which, you might want to check out that dedicated Yuno video when you get a chance. He's able to blast through a 100% Xenon with Urios, to which Xenon noted that he didn't even think he could be run through once at 100%, and was able to tag a Devil's Bargain Xenon after obtaining Star Magic. This Devil's Bargain Xenon not only got an insane amp and durability since his heart was now unable to be damaged aside from Saint Stage, shown when Langris, someone with one of the most hacks abilities in the verse of literally erasing space and ignoring durability, wasn't able to erase Xenon's heart despite hitting it head on, but also got an amp and power that rivaled the Supreme Devil that allowed him to completely body a Spirit Dive Yuno prior to any sort of Star Magic amps and knock him completely out of Spirit Dive. Yuno, however, was ultimately able to take down Xenon after getting his second Grimoire, being able to attack him multiple times with the stars before cutting his heart with Saint Sword of Zephyr. While you could say that Xenon doesn't really have any sort of feats aside from getting bullied by Yuno and fighting the equivalent of fodder when we first see him, we do know that he considers Yuno to be one of the strongest mages of the Clover Kingdom, as he sends out one of the two twin demons out to destroy the Clover Kingdom, to which Yuno replies that Asta will take care of it, someone who's pretty much always relative to Yuno at every point in the series. This Asta, who just got an incomplete Devil Union, was able to cut down one of the twin demons with ease, and who fought Lilith and Nama, soloing one of them before they fused, to which Nock compared that their power was more than 1+1 when combined. However, while this all sounds impressive, this isn't outside of Noelle's pay grade. Noelle, after achieving Saint Stage, was able to completely demolish 100% Vonica without taking a single hit, with this same Vonica being able to fight alongside a Cursed Amp Loro who, prior to the Curse Amp, could previously cover the entire Heart Kingdom in her Mana Zone. This is also a Vonica who, just like her previous fight in the Heart Kingdom, had been nerfed by having a portion of magic being cut off, but this was a Vonica with full functionality of her blood magic, who was still getting bodied by Noelle before being taken over by Magicula. Not only that, but on Magicula's revival, Leap stated that Asta wouldn't be able to stand a chance without Devil Unions, something really insane considering that this is pretty much the most clear-cut slap in the face to tell us that Noelle is around Devil Union Asta's level. Like, honestly, it literally couldn't be more blatant unless Asta was looking us dead in the eye as the reader and stating that Noelle's Spirit Dive was the same strength as Devil Union. And while a lot of people could say that Yuno fought Lucifero to try and make this sound less impressive, not only did Yuno not actually damage Lucy at all during the fight, but he only acted as support by teleporting others around like a game of hot potato. You could say that Lucy thinking of Yuno as one of the people who could end them would make him more of a threat, but he also thought the same thing about Maria Leona, someone who had no access to Saint Stage or anything else along those lines. So the two should be around the same level of strength, though I would give more of an edge here to Yuno, as 100% Xenon needed to be hit with Urios, a spell that required 3 minutes of charging mana for, and his stars were able to tag a Xenon of much higher strength than that. and Uriel's has been shown to just blow up half of the Lucifera worm by itself, while Noelle's feats land more on the speed side rather than the power end. Like, it isn't implausible to think that a Spirit Dive Sea Dragon's Roar could do the same thing to a Lucifera worm, since she was able to completely obliterate 100% Vonica without it, but the only other time we really would have had a feat where it could just be outright stated was when she launched Sea Dragon's Roar at Magicula, but it got eroded by Curse Warding magic before it even got close to her. So the edge of strength goes to Yuno. Another factor here is Spirit Dive, which despite Yuno and Noelle both having it, seem to have different levels of strength compared to each other. For those who don't get what I mean, or just think that I'm smoking the greatest loud in the Clover Kingdom, just the fact that Noelle could take out Vonica 100% easily compared to Yuno needing Urias for Xenon's 100% is mind-boggling. Another thing is that a Noelle with very little Saint power left was able to kill a Magicula, while Yuno needed the assistance of Star Magic as well as Saint Stage. While there are a lot of people that say that Noelle needed the help of Rill, Charlotte, Luck, Gaja, and Noelle, they were only there to clear the way for Noelle, as Undyne stated that Noelle didn't have enough Saint power to fight off all the Magicula soldiers as well as kill off Magicula. This is incredibly impressive considering that Magicula's strength is certainly above the Triad's power, even so much so that she just tanked Gaja's ultimate magic to the face and just recovered from it, and Lieb stating that Asta would need Devil Union to beat Magicula even while half manifested. Not only that, but Noct's statement about Supreme Devils being above the Triad in power also adds credence to this argument. This is all while Yuno, who had fought a Xenon who got an amp equivalent to a Supreme Devil, almost got one shot by Xenon after his Devil's Bargain, literally taking out a Spirit Dive until he got a Star Magic and was able to tag him. So there is more evidence that Noelle's Spirit Dive multipliers could be, and probably are, stronger than Yuno's, but by how much is really debatable. We do know that a Devil's Bargain is at least a 15% increase in Devil power, as explained in the Asta video, another shameless plug here, don't mind me, and that Spirit Dive is relative to Devil Union, which is upwards of 100 times, potentially even higher. And Noelle had this type of strength while fatigued on very little Saint power, while Yuno was struggling with a Bargain Xenon without his stars and just got Uga Chaka'd by him while on guard. Not only that, but once again, Noelle absolutely destroyed Vonica in 30 seconds while Yuno needed a whole 30 minutes to charge up mana to hit Xenon with a Urios arrow. However, this doesn't mean that Noelle just outright bodies Yuno, since unlike Yuno, Noelle's Spirit Dive only lasts for a whole minute at a time. Meanwhile, Yuno's Spirit Dive can last for minutes at a time and only really gets turned off when he gets punched out of it. So while Noelle's Spirit Dive is stronger, it does drain faster, which would definitely be an advantage for Yuno. Now I would say something here about speed, but there really isn't that much to talk about. The two do have relative speed due to Spirit Dive, being able to dodge attack from Supreme Devil level threats, and being able to keep up with captains, but it is implied that Noelle is faster than Yuno. I mentioned in the Noelle video, and that's all three, let's go! That Noelle's movements throughout her fights with Valkyrie dress always appeared on the same panel, being able to tag opponents or dodge multiple projectiles at once, while Yuno isn't mainly known for his speed feats, as his only speed feats include keeping up with Mereoleona and Hellfire Incarnate and Asta and Devil Union. However, he was still using his stars at specific moments, using instant teleportation to dodge and intercept attacks, which wouldn't necessarily be a speed feat since he's, teleporting. But we will go over that when we get to it. Yuno does fight beside Asta without his stars, as he states he can't follow him with them, so his speed should be relative to Asta's if anything. So just know that Noelle should have a relative if not higher speed than Yuno. We already brought up some hacks, but we didn't bring up everything that the two had access to. While both do have things like Saint Stage, the ability to kill devils, that won't necessarily do too much considering neither of them are devils, at least from what we know, so their unique hacks would be what we'd mainly be going in depth on here. Starting with Noelle this time, only because it's easier. Noelle's main hacks is Valkyrie Dress, a spell that gives her control over all mana in her vicinity. While it is really ambiguous as to what those words mean, it pretty much gives her protection from things like AoE debuffs, as well as giving her advanced mobility and making her stronger. This is shown when she's able to use Valkyrie Dress under another Atlas, a spell where no one can use magic aside from the controller of another Atlas and makes all the user's attacks hit, as Noelle was able to move around, dodge, and power null Willful Compass, a spell that redirects the flow of mana. Pretty much anything her lance or sword touches becomes under her control, but that doesn't mean that she just gets to have whatever she wants. My god, that would be absurd. Like, imagine her just taking spatial magic, that'd be pretty neat. She also has Sea Dragon's Lair, which creates a giant ball of water around her as a shield, as well as Sea Dragon's Roar, which is just a large water dragon that does a big boom. There honestly isn't that much to talk about in regards of hacks to Noelle, which I'm glad about considering that Yuno is the more annoying one when it comes to hacks. Yuno barely had any hacks before. Sure, he was beloved by mana and had Spirit Dive, but that was it. Then we got Star Magic. And whoo boy, do I love Star Magic. Star Magic pretty does anything you want it to. It can teleport people, it can make walls, it can make lasers, it can become a whip, it can spawn more stars, it can protect Yuno from gravity magic with Monozone, it can wash your dishes, it can do your taxes, it can pay your mortgage. What more do you want from it? All jokes aside, Star Magic is really hacks, being insanely powerful offensively, being able to blast through Xenon with ease, and defensively allowing him to take attacks from that same Xenon that Langris couldn't kill, even with his offensive spatial magic. Not only does he have all of that, but he also has his multiple spirit dive weapons. Sword of Zephyr is able to erode mana around him and whatever his sword makes contact with, while Boreas is able to be a blatant increase in power that increases the love by mana factor, and Urios is a large bow and arrow that is fast enough to completely run through Xenon and is strong enough to destroy half the Lucifer worm that was crushing the entire Spade village around it in gravity by literally existing. Yeah, Yuno's range of hacks is insane, and that isn't even getting into any specific spells like Spirit's Hush Dance, Spirit Storm, or Liable Tempest, but the most hacked thing of all is luck. Black Clover makes a big deal of how the leaves on a clover on a mage's grimoire actually do have influence, and Yuno having a 4-leaf clover does give him a massive amount of luck, such as him getting into contact with Sylph, him getting his second grimoire, not getting KO'd by Lucifer multiple times. There are a lot of things that can be attributed to his luck. It's honestly insane how many things Yuno has compared to Noelle actually, but how would this actually go down? While Yuno does have the advantage in his hacks and his advantage in AP, Noelle's speed is absolutely nothing to scoff at and will probably be the thing that takes it for her. Not only is her durability much higher than Yuno's, seeing as how even before Saint Stage she was able to survive the exploding life spell from Vonica at 70% while fatigued, but her speed just outright outclasses him by her just outright beating Vonica without a single scratch in 30 seconds with Saint Stage, while Yuno's only real blitz towards Xenon was when he was at 80%. Sure, he can teleport, but it's not like Noelle's IQ was so low that she can't figure out that Yuno is teleporting through his stars and won't just break them all apart before he even gets a chance to regenerate one of them. I will say that if Yuno does manage to hit Noelle once, she might be in trouble, since it could blast straight through Xenon, the guy with an ultimate defense after getting 2 amps, but that's even assuming he would hit her in the first place. You'd basically have to give a lot of leeway to Yuno to make sure that he doesn't automatically get speed blitzed by Noelle, and even then, it's not like Yuno really has anything that Noelle can't deal with. Spirit Dive gets countered by Spirit Dive, Star Magic's teleportation can just be taken out by Valkyrie Dress's speed, even Urios and Zephyr can be combated quite easily. So for this fight, Yuno's main win cons would basically just be to sit Noelle in one place and hope she doesn't move. But once again, that's assuming he can even tag her. So unless he can literally pull a nothing personal kid and teleport his sword into Noelle, there's a very slim chance he would be able to tag her. However, if you do give Yuno that luck aspect, there is always a chance that Noelle does get caught off guard and get captured or lured into one spot by Yuno. However, Yuno has literally one move to restrain an opponent, and even when he did use it, which was on a half awake lick in the anime, he still escaped it. So it's not inescapable. So while there are more chances that Noelle would win over her losing, if you do give Yuno the luck aspect, it would be pretty split in who would actually win. But I would give it to Noelle 6 times out of 10 without luck, Yuno 6 out of 10 with luck. You see, this is really how close there would be considering all the factors, as even though Yuno does have the luck factor, there still has been times where he did get bodied regardless. And despite Noelle being faster and having an ability even more hacks than all of Yuno's, she still does only have 1 whole minute that Yuno needs to survive before he could just hit her while she's in a weaker Valkyrie dress. Thanks for watching. I honestly don't know how to really end this, as it is a really debatable topic depending on who you ask. Hopefully we get a fight in the final arc with all 3 of the light triads so we can potentially get this question answered. Anyways, we're done with the Black Clover content for now. Yay! Next video will more than likely be some sort of long form analysis video, since I really don't want to burn myself out on power scaling videos. Speaking of those, you can find a playlist of all of those videos on the channel in case you want to binge them, as well as the long form analysis video. Anyways, time to work on something else before getting to scale more magical girls. Be sure to like and subscribe, or dislike it if you hate me with a burning passion, and leave me a comment of your searing hatred below, and ciao.
Oh 今ここで限界を超えろ。それしか道はねえ。俺たち金色の夜明け団だ。クローバー王国最強の魔法騎士団だ。 だ